I'm Rosa Mendez, and I'm here at the #1 Long Island broadcast, Monty and Pharaoh. I had the best time ever!
Hey, listen, Daddy, you're listening to the #1 broadcast, Monty and Pharaoh, Daddy, in Long Island. The best pro wrestling broadcast of all time, I think.
Jimmy, I got to tell you, man, it feels good to be back on YouTube. It was quite disappointing what happened to us, but we bounced back fairly quickly.
Well, what else would we do? We're almost at 5,000 subscribers.
Well, speaking of that, man, we need more members.
Okay.
What do you think we need to do to get the people of those 5,000 subscribers to come on and join the team as a Monty and a Pharaoh member?
Nudity is out of the question. Any other ideas?
I don't know, man. I don't know. But what I do have a few ideas.
Well, just like Prel, they should tell 2 friends, and they could tell 2 friends, and so on and so on. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Check out all our content.
But that's, you know what? That's why you're the star of the show, because guess what? Members get special content. Even we spoke about it. Pharaoh came to me one day and he goes, man, what's the deal? I can't even watch some of these videos because I'm not a member. And I said, there you go, Pharaoh. You got to be a member because this is what the members get. They get free content
Nice.
that none of the other fans that watch this show get.
That's right.
You get free autographs from some of these wonderful stars that come in, right?
Nice.
All you do is you go to the MNP webpage, or right, our own page, and shoot us an email and say, hey, man, I want a picture of Tommy Rich. I want a picture of whatever. And boy, that's on its way.
We give them their choice.
That's right.
We rock.
We do rock.
And you need to rock too. Join.
Elm Logistics for all your logistic needs. Call 631-299-3595. That's 631-299-3595. Elm Global Logistics. Pride, performance, and partnerships. M&J Video Games and Collectibles. Sport and non-sport cards, wrestling items, autographed items. We buy, sell, and trade. M&J Video Games and Collectibles, located at 1049 Queen Street, Southington, Connecticut. Call us at 1-860-479-9223 or 860-93-GAMES. M&J Video Games and Collectibles.
Friends, seems like forever, and we've had our share of laughter through the pain. But look at us now, on some better Sunday. What I'm saying is life's too short to live in these extremes. Have we seen our finest hour? Good times surely will come. And all through the night I wondered and waited, for it's been said, united we stand, divided we fall. To wait here for you, holding it together, just like a desert flower, waiting on the rain to come. And all I know is annualized confusion. And what I'm saying is you don't realize what this means. Have we seen our finest hour? Good times surely will come.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of SOB Sports, episode 6. Episode 5 was fantastic. All right, Mike, have at it, my friend.
How you doing, Monty? Thanks for having us on today again. It's always a pleasure being on here and sharing stories with the fans and everything. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Florida, about 85 degrees. The wind's blowing about 20 miles an hour, and life couldn't be better, I guess, you know?
First of all, I think you missed your calling. You should be like a weatherman.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't think, I mean, it probably is the easiest job in the world, to be honest with you, because the weathermen don't make fucking shit and they're always wrong. So that would be an ideal situation for me for sure.
Well, listen, you guys did real well last week, and some clips really did well. But the one people were saying they didn't want to hear my voice; they wanted to hear your guys' voice. So I'm going to lead in just off of what you guys were discussing last week with the whole Rick Steiner thing. And by the way, Bruce from ESO is with us again. He's joining, hang out with the boys.
How's everybody doing?
So you brought up the subject of Rick Steiner.
Yeah.
So as probably everybody has seen in the news, Kid Rock blowing up Bud Light fucking cans, man. I thought that was great. At first, I didn't know the whole fucking story, but now, this transgender topic is really at the top of the news every day, and it just won't go away. Now Bud Light's supporting a transgender. What are they trying to do? Pick up the 1.8 million transgenders to buy some fucking beer, or what are they doing here? I don't get it.
Well, what I saw, Chubbs, was I read up on that, and it was the vice president in charge of marketing for Bud Light decided that they needed a new marketing because she doesn't like the customers that buy Bud Light. She wants to change it up. So she thought that this was a good move to get this deal and whatever its name is to do the commercials. And it's backfired hugely. We've got individuals. We got a lot of distributors are taking it off their shelves, aren't selling it anymore. It's a huge backlash at the moment, and I think it's gonna get bigger. And Bud Light, that's Anheuser-Busch's biggest brand, Bud Light. So I think there's gonna be a big backlash, and it's gonna hurt their brand for a while to come.
Well, I seen a stat when they were talking about this whole Kid Rock thing. I seen it on another podcast actually, and they said that the ages of 13 and over, there's only like 1.9 million transgenders in the United States. And they didn't have the worldwide numbers, but this is just in the U.S. And so why are they reaching out to only 1.9 million people? Do they think that they're going to make that much more money off of 1.9 million transgenders? You think just because they support transgenders that the fucking transgenders are going to buy Bud Light now or what? I don't think so. If they didn't drink Bud Light before, they're not going to drink it now.
Well, she wants a whole new audience, Chubbs. That's the thing about it. She wants to have a whole new audience. She wants to have she wants to market to a whole new bunch of people, even if it's 1.8 million. Not all of them are drinkers. You know what I mean? And not all of them drink Bud Light, that's for sure.
I think a lot of it's all about the exposure. I think that these companies more and more just want to get into the headlines, and they know it's an easy way to get into the mainstream media right away and get that exposure. We've had it here locally. They're doing things that we don't normally see around here. It's a relatively conservative area. Like we had a drag queen story hour a couple of weeks ago, and it's not necessarily the area that you would expect it to, but the reason that business did it was to get the area up in arms and get that publicity. And I don't know. It just seems like it's everywhere right now. You open up the newspaper, it's on it's right there, page one. This one's supporting it. The other one, wasn't it Nike was the other company that came out and did something with the same athlete that Bud Light did it with, or the same person Bud Light did it with. I saw something about that too.
Well, all I know is I'm not a big drinker at all, but I damn sure will never have a fucking Bud Light in the rest of my life for sure. There's just no room for transgenders in sports, period. I don't give a shit. There's no room. There's no reason drag queens should have drag queen fucking story hour and telling stories to little fucking kids. There's just no purpose for that shit whatsoever on this planet. And I don't know why everybody's trying to jam this subject down our throat, but I'm fucking tired of it, man.
I can't wait for LeBron James to retire and come back as LeBron James, and him and Dwayne Wade go back into the WNBA and take a couple more championships.
Yeah, right. I mean,
Yeah,
that's how they fucking feel when they get fucking bashed around with the elbow in the fucking face or in the fucking in the breast or something. I mean, they're not gonna like that shit very much. And as parents, we have to monitor what we let our kids see and not see, or listen to and not listen to. And I'll be damned if I'm gonna let my daughter go to a fucking drag queen story hour. If I want to read them a fucking book, I'll read them a book myself. But I'm damn sure not going to let them go sit in front of a fucking drag queen and let them listen to a drag queen tell a fucking stupid ass fucking story that's probably about transgenders anyway. These fucking Walt Disney movies, they have all these hidden agendas in these Walt Disney movies and shit, and people just don't fucking see it, and they keep supporting them and keep buying these movies. And I don't understand what people are actually going through their fucking head these days.
Well, you know what? It's staying on the woke theme. Actually, Mario Brother movie just came out too, and it's just blown everything out of the water. Disney was saying for a long time that numbers were down because people were going to a movie and they were staying away from movies because of the whole virus situation. And Mario Brothers proved them wrong, and they shot to number one. The Mario Brothers is not a woke agenda. They on Rotten Tomatoes, it's like 53 is what the critics are giving it, and it's sitting at like a 98% from the fans. The people are just tired of this woke agenda that they're trying to push down people's throats, and he just proved it, man. Mario's proved it. The whole issue with Bud Light kind of proves it. Top Gun last year when Top Gun Maverick, there was no agenda to that, and that kind of proved the same thing. I mean, over and over again, just proving all these people how it's just a good idea. Go woke, go broke is what they say, right?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, they can all go fucking broke for all I give a fucking shit, And to be honest, I'm tired of talking about these fucking transgenders. They can go fuck themselves. And I want to talk about something interesting. Let's talk about some sports, man. Let's talk about the Masters tournament this weekend in Augusta, Georgia. John Rahm, when they started the tournament, it was beautiful weather on Thursday. On Friday, they had 2 inches of rain over Saturday. And so on Saturday's golf got delayed in another rain delay. And on Sunday morning, they had to finish most of round 3 and round 4. And when round 3 started, John Rahm was 4 shots back. He was at -9, and Brooks Koepka was 13 under. And I happened to watch the tournament on TV, and John Rahm just dominated, man. Once he tied that guy and went ahead of him by 1, it was all over but the shouting, man. And he just played safe all day long. He ended up winning the tournament by 4 strokes. He's the 4th Spaniard to ever win the green jacket. And what an accomplishment for John Rahm. He's been the world's #1 golfer on and off for the past 2 or 3 years now. And in my opinion, I think he's going to be the new Tiger Woods. He really plays some great golf.
You said he was the 4th Spanish player to win the Masters. He's also got this is his 2nd major championship. It's his 11th PGA Tour win. He's 28 years old, so he's got a lot of time on his hands yet. He's also won on the 2 European Ryder Cups, 2018 and 2021. So, and he just moved into the official #1 world golf ranking.
Yeah, he's really playing some good golf right now. And, there's a lot of guys. Tiger Woods, he tied a record this weekend for most consecutive cuts made at the Masters. I think the number's like 24 or something like that.
It's 23, and he's tied with Fred Couples and Sam Snead.
Yeah, there you go. So 23 straight Masters cuts. He ended up pulling out on Saturday, the start of Saturday's play. He just couldn't hardly walk, man. I seen him out there. He was struggling, man. I felt bad for him. He looked like a cripple out there, and he just had to pull it out. And if you're not going to compete at your best, there's really no sense in putting yourself out there to get injured. And I think that took a lot of balls for Tiger Woods to kind of bow out of the Masters tournament.
Yeah, I think he's done. I think that's his last tournament. Speaking of other golfers, how about Phil Mickelson making a run for it?
Man, Phil tried to pull one out of his ass, man. I mean, he came out of nowhere. I think he shot like 6 under par on Sunday, and he literally came from nowhere, and he put up the number in the tournament at 8 under par. And he set the number, but again, Jon Rahm was ahead of him by 2 strokes at that time when Phil went in at 8 under. And at that point, Jon Rahm just played it safe. He just put the ball on the green. He'd get up and down in 2, and he just played that way for the whole rest of the day. And he really never took any chances. He was not going to let this green jacket and the 2023 Masters Championship slip through his hands. That's for sure.
Speaking about the green jacket, I've got a little bit of tidbit of. I checked out a few little, creative entertainment about the Masters here. That was the one thing about those green jackets is they are tailor made, and for the last 50 years they've been tailor made by a company out of Cincinnati. But it's a secret. It's a secret. Nobody knows who the tailor is, not even the golfers. And then they get this green jacket for 12 months. And then after 12 months, it goes back and it sits at Augusta. And whenever they come back, they can wear it. That was a nifty little tidbit I read about yesterday.
Well, that would make sense then when Jon Rahm won the tournament and he was walking off the course, going into the clubhouse. A lot of the old Masters champions were greeting him, and they all had the green jacket. I'm like, man, they fucking all came with their green jackets, but obviously they didn't. They have them there waiting for them. So I think that's pretty fucking cool, man. The Masters, they really promote the Masters big time. And if anybody watched that golf tournament over the weekend on TV, that golf course is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah,
I mean, it is pristine. The homemade bridges, they got names for all the bridges, and they said you went over Arnold Palmer's bridge, and now you're going over Seve Ballesteros Lane. And I'm thinking, that's fucking some cool shit, man. The flowers and the trees, everything was well groomed. For that course to take on 2 inches of rain on Friday, they did one hell of a job of getting everything ready for the weekend.
I was researching this. While I was doing my research, I had a whole new respect for Augusta, because that place was originally, they were growing plants and bushes, trees and shrubs. It was before it became a golf course. It was a nursery. And so they kept a lot of the plants that were growing in the nursery. They kept them on there. And that's why you always see a lot of flowers and all the good stuff. They kept that stuff at Augusta. And when they started, I think it was in 32 was when the course first opened up. And when they had the first, they called it the Augusta National Invitation. And then I don't think it was called the Masters until like 49. And then that was Sam Snead, who was the first to wear I think it's 42 when they started calling it the Masters. And then Sam Snead in 49 was the first to wear one of the green jackets.
Very interesting, man. You've done your homework, Chubbs. Way to go.
I'm telling you, dude, I've been waiting on you guys all weekend, brother. I had plenty of time on my hands. But no, really, I got a whole new respect. I really got a whole new respect for that. I thought it was interesting little tidbits to find out there about the Masters. So I'm excited about our next tournament.
Yeah, for sure. And they also had the Bristol Dirt Race this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. in Bristol, Tennessee, and they brought in, I don't know, 1,000 fucking tons of dirt and put it on this concrete track and made it into a dirt track. And I tell you what, man, these trucks and these NASCARs were sliding all over the fucking place, man. And Christopher Bell ended up winning the NASCAR race yesterday as well. He held off Kyle Busch, I believe, and Tyler Reddick to get the win yesterday. And, Christopher Bell is a dirt track specialist. He's a dirt track ringer. And Kyle Larson was actually the favorite of the race. But him and Ryan Preece got locked up in a little accident. They kind of rubbed doors, and it pissed Ryan Preece off. And so then later on in the race, Kyle Larson got stuck in the back, was making his way to the front, and these two cars came next to each other. And fucking Ryan Preece just blatantly ran his ass into the wall. And, Kyle Larson was the favorite at 3-1, and he was out with halfway to go into the race. So after that, I wasn't really interested because Kyle Larson's kind of my NASCAR favorite guy ever. I just totally
Were
lost
you
interest.
Were you invested in that, Mike?
A
Were you
little
invested
bit,
in Carlson? Yeah.
a little bit. I was a little disappointed, I have to say. But tomorrow's a new day, baby, and the sun rose just like it was supposed to this morning.
So tell me this, Mike. With that dirt, okay, is it the Bristol, Tennessee, obviously, right? And it's not the same track as the NASCAR goes on, obviously, if it was this weekend.
Yeah,
Well, what they did was they brought in dirt and put it over the top of the concrete, and they brought this dirt in and they groomed it and they watered it and they just kept dumping more dirt down. And with all the practice and stuff and the trucks running on it, man, it was in prime condition. But about a quarter of the way into the beginning of the race, you could see where the dirt track started to break up a little bit. It was like 3 or 4 inches deep in some places, and there were big divots in this thing. And if you ran over it, it was like running over a fucking pothole. It just would destroy your car. So, and the only thing they could do is just put water on the track, It was too late at that point to just add more dirt. But for them to create a dirt track out of a concrete asphalt track is pretty amazing, actually, when you think about it. It's just like turning a basketball surface into a hockey arena, right? It's like taking the platforms off and then you got the ice below the basketball.
Or taking a Mantar and making him into a hell of a professional wrestler, right?
Or there's that. And then there's that. Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, speaking about wrestling, do you get a chance to check out some of the WrestleMania over the weekend? I wouldn't mind hitting that up a little bit.
Well, I'll tell you what, I just thought it was incredible that they kept the belt on Roman Reigns. They totally swerved the public. Everybody on Monday morning is like, fuck WWE. I'm never watching them again. And blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, you motherfuckers, you ain't going to go anywhere. Because now you want to see if Cody Rhodes really is going to get a chance at being the man. And I think he's going to get his turn. I just think that they've had Roman Reigns on top for so long that it only makes sense to keep him there. Because he's obviously
Marty,
putting ass
Marty, you want to join in on this, Marty? Because you
who the fuck is Marty?
Made a comment earlier when we were off the mic.
He's talking about me. I think he's got Janetti on the head.
Who's Marty?
Yeah, I mean Monty. Sorry, buddy. Sorry,
Monty.
So here's the interesting question to all three of you, right? I think, what is more important, business or meeting the fans' expectations? So, 2 examples, and if the three could weigh in, that'd be great. The WWE, right? You got Roman Reigns, who's now been a real proven commodity, right? A moneymaker. Probably has the biggest pay-per-view buys or attendance or views in the history of wrestling. I understand.
Absolutely.
Different times, different eras, get it. And then you're going to take a risk on someone like Cody Rhodes, who worked for AEW and couldn't even bring that organization over the top. So my question to you guys is, if you are a wrestling promoter, or if you compare the two, the WWE, who seems to do what they feel is best for business for themselves, where Tony Khan and AEW seems to want to meet his particular niche of fans and give them what they want. If you guys could weigh in, what do you guys think is the better thing to do here?
Monty, I think you're kind of jumping the gun a little bit on AEW. They've only been around for 3 years, and Vince McMahon didn't, get the WWE established where he's at today in 3 years' time. It took many years, and it took many champions, it took many stories, and it just took a lot of work for Vince. And let's get it straight. Tony Khan is no Vince McMahon. And I think what Cody Rhodes did for AEW, I think he did a great job because he got the product up and running. The product is established. Are they on the WWE's level right now? No, I don't think so. But
I'm not, Mike, I'm not asking them to be on the WWE's level. What I'm going to ask you is, I feel they're going out of their way to be so different. They're going against a obvious menu or ingredients that work in professional wrestling, and that's why you're not seeing the growth. And again, I'm not trying to attack AEW, but I don't see any growth there. In fact, I've seen them go from a certain level down.
Yeah, there's a lot of turmoil right now in the AEW locker room. You got the whole fucking CM Punk thing, who thinks he's better than God is, and you got a lot of heat there. You got the boys doing absolutely whatever the fuck they want to do in the ring because Tony Khan doesn't know shit about wrestling, and I think if you're going to have a wrestling company, I think someone has to say, okay, listen, I don't care what you guys do in there, but for the finish, this is what I want. Instead of letting these boys call their own shots, because that's what they're all doing in there. Nobody is directing these people on what the hell they want to do in there. And, a lot of these guys are wrestling for other companies, for other organizations. And I just think that there's not enough leaders in the company itself, as in the higher ups, the people who's calling the shots, because they've given the boys free reign. And when you do that, it's just going to turn into a clusterfuck. And that's what they got right now, is a clusterfuck.
Well, it turns into WCW, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. That's exactly what I was going to say, because the WCW back in the day when I was there for my little run there, the problem with the WCW is they had way too many chiefs and not enough Indians. And when you've got too many cooks, you kind of spoil the stew in the end effect. And that was a big problem in WCW. Everybody had their own agenda. The thing with the WWE at the moment, or it was when Vince was around, and now that he's back, in the end effect, Vince has the final word. And the way it used to be back in the 80s when I broke into wrestling, it was you were making the product, and the people, your fans would buy the product. Right. So you got to tell a comparable story, a good story. You got to have strong people on top. And you got to have people that can carry the product. And that's not always prevalent, But you were asking about Roman Reigns as well. And I think Roman Reigns, I thought they left it open, of course, and that's going to keep people coming back to watch it when they have another match. But the thing is I thought it was a decent match. I thought the match was good. I thought the whole WrestleMania was pretty decent. Really good. And my favorite match on the card was the triple threat match with the European guys. It was well told. It was a well told story. And I'm kind of, I've got a man crush on those guys because I work with all of them toward the end of my career in Europe and stuff like that. And they really shined. And I thought that what do they call him, Walter Gunther? I thought he's a pretty good he takes control of a match and he tells a hell of a story in the end. I'm very proud of that kid. I think that like I said, I think the WrestleMania was pretty good. So.
Well, my favorite match was Charlotte Flair against Rhea Ripley. I mean, they stole the show, I think, in night one, and they went out there and tore that fucking place up. And they really performed. They were at the top of their game. They were on their A+ game, and they told one hell of a story. And Rhea Ripley, kudos to her, she wins her first WWE championship. And, I think Charlotte Flair has got some bodybuilding venture that she's getting started in, so she's going to take some time off. So it was kind of planned that she would do the job. But still, Rhea Ripley, she deserves to be in that spot. She's put in her time, she's worked hard, and she's over, man. And the fans are behind her. And, I'm really impressed with Dominic Mysterio as well. It's not easy doing what he has been doing week after week, calling his dad names, smacking him, taunting him, taunting his sisters, his parents, and, and I think how they did that, finish was great. Dominic, he threw the glass of water. He said, my sister gave me this glass of water and there was water in it. And he said, she didn't know I was going to throw it in her face, and I didn't know, but there was an opportunity, and I'm taking advantage. And he just fucking soaked his sister, man. She came unglued. And good thing, they were right there to pull her back. But that was just an ad-lib thing, and I thought it was fucking phenomenal. It was great.
Okay.
I was like, yeah, you got her.
Okay, dude, what about the Snoop Dogg stuff? Was that, did McMahon get hurt, or was that all the whole thing?
Yeah.
Was Snoop Dogg supposed to do that crap?
That shows you right there. No, Snoop wasn't supposed to do any of that crap. So I don't really know what they were supposed to do, but Shane McMahon literally fucked himself up, and Snoop Dogg saved the day. He just ad-libbed and come out with the fucking people's elbow and dropped it on The Miz.
You know what, though? Now it's being told that The Miz called that in the ring. So you got to give Miz a little bit of props. He got Snoop going.
Hey, props to The Miz. Miz is a true professional. He knows how to make the save, right? And when shit goes down, somebody's got to make that call in there. And so either you're going to sit there and look stupid, or you're going to speak up and save the day. And obviously, Snoop listened to him and he saved the fucking day. And it was excellent, man. It was fucking comical the way the Snoop fucking dropped that people's elbow on The Miz, right? He totally fucking did the fucking thing, did the whoop, and then fucking off and running he went, man. He dropped that fucking elbow. It looked pretty good elbow, too.
I loved it.
I had to give Lesnar kudos because that's probably the most entertainment, he worked a big man match with the big man, right? And he made the guy look good. And you could tell that the guy was green, right? What's his name? What's the big guy's name?
Omos.
So Omos. You could tell he's green and stuff like that. But I thought Lesnar worked with him really well on the card for a big man match with a guy that green. I thought he did a pretty decent job. So I got a little bit. As far as I've got loads of respect for Lesnar. Don't get this wrong. But as a professional wrestler, my opinion of him has just moved up a notch.
I want to get the fans' perspective on it. ESO, thoughts on should the WWE have stripped Reigns of the title and gave it Cody Rhodes as the fans wanted?
No, absolutely not. They played it out the right way. The long range. It's a better. The chase is always better than the victory. I have to say, WrestleMania overall, it wasn't for the wrestling fan. WrestleMania was for the casual wrestling fan, and that's what you really felt coming out of it. So they're booking. I SummerSlam to see Cody get the belt there if he does get it. But overall, I loved WrestleMania. I thought it was better than I had expected. I went into the show expecting not too much, and it came out better than I thought. Night one had some great matches. It did have a couple stinkers, but it had some great matches. My favorite match night one was the Logan Paul Seth Rollins match. I think those guys are so entertaining. I'm going to say it was the best match, but it was the most fun for me. Night 2, definitely that triple threat. That was awesome. Those guys tore down the house. Usually I don't like matches where there's fatal 4-ways, triple threats, stuff like that, because it always seems like one or two wrestlers is too inactive. They take a light bump, disappear out of the ring. But they had everything very, very believable. They told a great story in that match. Absolutely enjoyed it.
Well, I mean, in my opinion, the product of wrestling on TV sucks today. And so I am not going to torture myself and watch 4 hours of WrestleMania on 2 nights in a row. I watch little tidbits of little matches here and there, and that's enough for me. There ain't no fucking way I could stomach 8 hours of wrestling entertainment to watch from the WWE. I would fucking, I might end up with the fucking flu or something after that. So I'm not going to subject myself to the product because I think the product sucks today. And I think when they did WrestleMania, I don't think that they planned things to make their current fans happy. I think they planned things to try and gain more fans and more interest of people that aren't wrestling fans, because it was a great show and it was the biggest moneymaker that WWE has ever had in their lifetime of a company. And so, they're doing something right. But, now that they say that Vince is in control again, the product is just going to go right down the shitter. I think Triple H has done a great job in telling some stories and bringing back people, and all the people that Vince brought back, who was it? Somebody got, I read somewhere where somebody got nixed off the fucking card at the last minute. And for the life of me, I don't know who it was, but it was a top superstar who was supposed to have
Bobby Lashley, Mike.
Was it Bobby Lashley?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I heard that, they kind of cut his thing at the end and, he didn't even get a fucking perform. And I was like, well, that sounds like Vince to me. That's only something Vince would do. And, it is what it is. He's in charge. They made the big sale. Whoopie-doo. I think it's going to change the product. They say it's not, but I don't think that you got more people now inputting on things, and you only have 49% of the company, so you really don't have the last word. And if somebody that has 51% wants to say, well, we want this to happen, well, that's what's got to happen because they own 51% of the company, right? So I don't think Vince is in charge as much as people say he is, but I really think that he's still running things for sure.
I have a question for you guys, and it's really on an important level. We're all getting up there in age, right? You guys have put yourselves on the line for so many years as professional wrestlers. More than ever, we see these GoFundMe pages coming out. Superstar Graham, I think Butch Whacker Luke passed away, if I'm right.
Butch.
You guys feel Butch. Sorry. Yeah, Butch, whatever. So anyway, the question I have for you guys, do you guys feel that these organizations owe you and to take care of you after you've well been out of the industry? I mean, we've all have our health problems, so I'd like both of you to weigh in. I think it's an important subject.
Yeah, a lot of us guys, we depended on that money that we made every day working for the company. And, knowing that you don't have any health insurance, it kind of puts you in a really bad spot. And, the company is not going to step up and make you an employee. You're just you're a public subcontractor for a reason, and they're going to keep it that way. And I just think that it should be a black eye on more of the sport and who's running it than it should be on the boys, because the boys are only asking for help. If these fans knew what we went through working for fucking Vince McMahon and knowing what he did not do for us, they would say, what the fuck is going on? What were these guys thinking working for this guy? Thinking, well, geez, if we weren't working for the guy, then you wouldn't have had nothing to watch and you wouldn't have nothing to complain about, And so I just think it's really tough, what do you expect these guys to do that are 75, 80 years old and they don't have insurance and and their disability check is $1,000, and that's all they have. And they're fucked. They don't have no
You know
life
what?
insurance.
You know what though? It's not just Vince McMahon. It's wrestling promoters in general. They don't give a damn. I mean, I tore a hamstring on All Star Promotions. You know what I mean? I didn't get any reimbursement from it other than I had to take a few days off because I couldn't wrestle on it on a torn hamstring the first couple days, and then I had to go right back to work because there is no security in the wrestling industry. You're only making money while you're making money. You destroy your body. I mean, I've got one new hip. I need a second hip. I need 2 new knees, and then after that, we'll take a look at my shoulders.
Hold on, you forgot a new face, brother. You need a new face.
No, brother, I do need a new face. But you know what? Yours isn't hurting you, is it? Because it's killing me.
I know, man.
So,
you ain't gonna go there.
Right.
Not even put that fucking shit over. But you said a key word in there. You took a couple days off.
Salad?
And you didn't, salad. And you didn't get paid. You didn't get reimbursed for taking them 2 days off. You got no money on that time that you took.
No, that's what I meant.
You made absolutely fucking nothing. And so these wrestlers, they go out there and beat themselves up their whole life. And I guess in a way, I think it's okay. I mean, I'm kind of torn. I mean, you're supposed to plan for them days, aren't you? And I think that no matter how much money you don't have, I think that you're still able to plan for that day to happen, because it's eventually going to happen to all of us. And it's unfortunate that Butch has to make a GoFundMe page, for his medical bills and his burial and stuff like that. I mean, he's dead now, so they can't fucking make Butch pay for nothing in the hospital, right?
Yeah.
And so it sounds like to me that he didn't have a whole lot. And, he was around when the WWF was making a lot of money and the boys were making a lot of money. And so for the life of me, I don't understand why he put out a GoFundMe page, but he obviously needs it. And if the man needs it, then more power to him. I hope he gets everything that he needs and deserves. And, God rest his soul. But there's just, I don't know, I'm kind of on the fence about this GoFundMe shit.
How about superstar Billy Graham? What are your thoughts about him?
Yeah, the same. He's another controversial wrestler. He said a few controversial things in his day. And, like I said, he is really bad off. And I heard that his days are severely numbered right now. And I feel bad for him. Did I contribute? No. I don't feel like it's my place to contribute. I just don't think that when you put them GoFundMes out there, you should not expect the boys to contribute at all. I know sometimes.
How about the fans? Should the fans have to contribute?
I think it's all about the fans and the GoFundMes. I think that's what they put it out there for, hoping that the wrestler has enough fans out there that loved him enough that are going to help pay to bury the guy. And,
didn't we pay for it back when we bought the tickets for $80 a piece?
No, I think you paid for that performance, man. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but I think if there are fans out there that actually want to pay for somebody's GoFundMe, that's really up to them. Like Mike said, he didn't do it. I mean, if I knew a guy really well, I might send him a little bit of money or something like that. But other than that, I mean, I just know what it's like, and I know how people end up in a bad way. I mean, a lot of wrestlers. I mean, the number of wrestlers that are broke after the job is just ridiculous. First of all, it's hard to get a really great insurance when you tell the insurance company that you're a professional wrestler when you're doing it live, and then nobody's. And if nobody is going to help you in the end after you performed, if you've given 30 years to the business and you performed, I just think it's a neat thing if the fans want to help out and stuff like that. It just shows that there's a lot of respect for for individual wrestlers. And I'm not gonna start a GoFundMe page, but I'd like to think that there's enough people that I get enough fans out there that would have enough respect for me and might say, hey, even if it's a $5 or whatever. But like I said, I'm not into that. I'm not into it personally, but to each his own. I'm not going to get pissed if somebody else is doing it.
Listen, last night was the final documentary on A&E for the season on Dusty Rhodes. You guys have any memories of Dusty Rhodes or information about Dusty Rhodes?
Paul's the guy for that question because Paul.
Well, I got a good story about Dusty. Yeah, I got a good story about Dusty. So when I started in WCW, what had happened was I went and had my dark match in January, and Dusty was just finishing up the King of the Ring with New York, and then he was going to start having the book for WCW. So I had the dark match when he wasn't there, but they showed him the tape. He liked it, and he said, "Just be patient. We'll bring you in." And so he stepped in the beginning of February, and then I was in Pensacola, Florida, with Randy Colley, Moondog Rex. There was an undercard. Randy's knee was bothering him, and so I had my gear in the car, and Grizzly said, "Well, do you want to work with Brad Armstrong?" So me and Brad went on first, and I worked the PN News gimmick as a heel, and we tore the place down. We had a full house, and we tore the place down on first and stuff like that. The crowd was really good. I came back, and Wyndham and Grizzly Smith said, "Hey, we're doing TV in Marietta on Monday. Show up, man. We'll get you in a match. We'll get you in with Flair or anybody." You know what I mean? This was Wyndham talking. And so I got to the TV in Marietta, and Dusty was there, and he told me to be patient, and they were going to bring me in. So in April, they had me come into the Twin Towers there, CNN Towers, and I went up there, and he was asking me about the idea and what the gimmick was, and I showed him, because I came up with the rapping wrestler gimmick, and I was calling myself PJ Cool. And then he said, "All right, baby, what we're going to do is we're going to bring you in, and we're going to call you PNN. It's like CNN, if you will, when the people will get that correlation." And so I thought, well, that sounds great, Dusty. And so they had me at the end of April, they had me do the Great American Bash commercial. And I hadn't even had a television match. I just started doing TV, and I wasn't under a contract. And so I did the 2 TVs, and everything was going good. I had to go to the Omni in Atlanta and just do a rap in the arena. And I hated doing it because they didn't have a playback speaker up for me. So when I was hearing my voice, it was coming out like a half a second later out of the mic. So it took me a long time to get used to that kind of thing. But I went there. But the thing was while I went there on the Friday, that was a Sunday, and on the Friday they called me, Scott Hall, Johnny B. Bad, a couple other guys. They called us all into the office, and they offered us these basic contracts, $75,000 and $150,000 on the rollover. And so everybody signed the contract right there in the office. I was the only one left with the contract unsigned. So I went back home. I was living in Alexander City, Alabama at the time, drove 2 hours home, went back. And then on the Sunday, I saw Dusty in the dungeon at the Ramada before the show started. And I went up to Dusty and I said, "Dusty, I'd like to talk to you about this contract. I'm not too pleased about it." And he goes, "I can't talk to you right now, baby, but we'll get on with each other at the Omni, baby." And so I got to the Omni. He pulls me into one of these offices, gold faucets and everything like that. It's just a suite, right? And he pulls me in there and he goes, "Baby, I'm bringing you in. You're kind of like my first child, if you will. You're my first baby that I'm bringing in on my team. And I just want to let you know, no matter what happens, we'll try the PN News thing. And if it doesn't work out, we're going to try something else." And I was like, "Okay, Dusty. All right, I'll sign it." And so I signed that fucking ridiculous contract, and I had him by the balls. because I shouldn't have signed the contract because that Great American Bash commercial was already airing on TBS and TNT and everything. So I shit the bucket there and I signed too early. And then, of course, I worked for Dusty for a while there, and then they threw me under the bus, and the rest is history. So, but that's my Dusty Rhodes story. And I mean, he's passed away and he's gone. And I was really disappointed because I really got railroaded out of the company and stuff like that. And I really trusted. I took Dusty at his word. You know what I mean? And I was really disappointed. Boy, I'll tell you what. The guy could talk, and he talked me into signing that ridiculous contract instead of holding out for a little bit extra.
Well, that's a hell of a Dusty Rhodes story. Like you said, he's not with us here to defend himself right now. But, both of his boys are still doing very well. Dustin, he's working for AEW right now. And I heard that he started his own wrestling school like about a year ago. And I heard that he wants to kind of get off the television and concentrate more on his wrestling school and the students. And, more power to him. He's got nothing left to prove. And in my opinion, Dustin is a Hall of Famer, and he's been around. He's no different than his dad. He's paid his dues, and he's a great performer, an excellent entertainer, and he's just got nothing left to prove. And he wants to give back to the students, and I love that. That he wants to concentrate on his wrestling school and making his students great wrestlers.
You brought that back full circle, Mike, because, I agree, Dustin Rhodes should be a Hall of Famer, but for the character of Gold Dust.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great character.
Well, I think the character of Dust, the Gold Dust character was a great character. I was with him in WCW, but I think that's where he really honed his craft because he was on every night, whether it was with Ricky Morton or Terry Taylor or Arn Anderson. He was on those, those really solid workers. He was on with those guys every night. And if you don't learn to work when you're on with that kind of talent every night, you learn how to tell a story. The Bobby Eatons as well. You learn how to tell a story. You learn timing. And I'm a big fan of Dustin's timing. I think he's got tremendous timing. I thought Cody's timing was fantastic the other night. So no, I got, more power to him. I'm sure that he'd be a great teacher. I think that, I imagine that the school will do really well too.
Well, Gold Dust, when he was working for the WWF and doing the Gold Dust character, Vince actually brought me in to be his bodyguard. The first job was the In Your House pay-per-view in Omaha, Nebraska, because he blew out his knee in Europe, and he was supposed to do a big main event with the Ultimate Warrior. And so he was hurt. He couldn't fucking work. And so they was like, well, geez, we got to make the fans happy somehow and let them get their nuts off. So they asked me to be his bodyguard. And I end up fucking sticking it to the Ultimate Warrior. And then, he did the Warrior fucking shake, and it was all over but the shouting. He ripped off my jacket. He ripped off my shirt. He gave me a couple of clotheslines, gave me the big whopping clothesline over the top rope. Got up, climbed up, put my fucking hat on his fucking head, and got the cheers. And they were totally happy with it. But it was a pleasure working with Dustin at that time, and such a great mind in wrestling. He really is a chip off the old block. And Cody's the same way. They're all great, generational wrestlers, and they learn from one of the best of all time, so they can't help but be good. And I think that if they were anything less, we would ask why. Why are they like this? Why aren't they better? Why aren't they this? Why aren't they that? But we don't have to, because they're great performers and they know their job, and they just go out there and do it every night like everybody else does.
I think that if you look at most legacy wrestlers, Most of them really are just naturals at the business because they were growing up watching their dads or their moms wrestle, and it was sunk into them. So the learning how to tell a story or learning how to talk on the microphone, it all comes at a pretty young age.
I got to tell you, another great show, guys. We're almost out of time. Anything you want to say to the fans out there?
Well, the only thing I got to say is thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. We hope that we are still able to entertain everybody and give you what you want. You know, we might say some controversial things on here, but you know what? That's just who we are. And this is our platform, so we're going to give our honest opinion. And if you don't like it, then, you know, tune off. That's all I can tell you. But, you know, like, subscribe, and share. And you know, thanks for putting up with us week after week, and we're here for the long haul. So appreciate you guys.
And real quick, I want to mention everybody out there that you have your own YouTube channel now. So Paul, if you could direct people to that YouTube channel where we'll be putting more material on.
Yeah, we're just working on it right now, and it's SOB Sports Network at youtube.com. So you can check that out. We're also going to be setting up a Facebook page pretty soon, and also a Twitter feed. So when I get that all set up, we'll get back to everybody and let them know. And then we're going to be trying to film a little bit more day-to-day content so that we can be a little bit more accessible to the fans. So. And as Mike said, everybody's got an opinion, or I'm still part of that group that believes that everybody's entitled to their opinion. And, you know, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. And yeah, we're all entitled to it. SOB Sports, it's in the name. We're SOBs. So we're going to say what we feel.
Well, with that, Bruce, anything to promote before we cut out?
Bruce is tongue-tied.
Well, he has his mic off, so.
He's got his mic off. Well, fuck Bruce. Bruce, all right, we'll take it over for you here, Bruce.
So don't forget to catch Monty and the Pharaoh every Thursday night at 9 p.m. on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. And then catch the after show at 10:30 following that.
So on that note, everybody, we have a motto here at SOB Sports, and that is, you only die once, but you live every day. Woo!
Yo, baby, yo, baby, yo. Thanks, everybody, for watching. See you next week.